for your time. I'm Kathi Wright. I'm with the Kiihnl Foundation. Before I get started, would anyone like to take a guess as to how many drowsy driving crashes there are every year?
Yes.
50,000.
50,000. That's a good start. Let's go up.
Oh. More than 100,000?
More than 100,000.
150,000?
What?
500?
5,000?
500,000?
500,000. We have a winner. So the story I'm about to tell you is not an isolated incident. I will try to be as brief. It's very painful for me to talk about this. Normally I talk to kids about sleep, how important sleep is, the great things that happen to your body when you sleep, and with the older kids, our foundation talks about drowsy driving. Today I'm going to give a story, a true story about how a child's drowsy driving crash impacted my family. On May 5th, 2002, my beautiful, funny, kind, loving, guitar-playing, varsity wrestling, old car restoring nephew asked my sister if he and his friend that was spending the night could take a walk around the block. Well, he was 17. That wasn't an out of the ordinary request, except that he had never asked that, and how she has lived to regret her answer. She said yes, and while Kyle and his friend were taking a walk around the block, a young driver fell asleep at the wheel, came up on the sidewalk where he walked, and killed him. My daughter was the one that took the phone call, and she brought her phone to me and said, "Mom, it's Nana. She says it's nothing bad, but I know it is." And the two words that I heard my mother say changed my family forever. When she told me that Kyle was dead, I just screamed and screamed and screamed and told myself to stop screaming. The neighbors were going to call the police. I could not stop screaming. I looked over at my daughter curled up on the floor in a ball. She was a 17-year-old junior at Houston High School also. And she had heard that her best friend / cousin was no longer with us, and she was crying that they would not be walking across the stage at graduation together. That afternoon, my sister called and wanted us to come over to her house. I did not want to go. The wrestling team was there and a lot of Kyle's buddies, and I knew it was going to be terrible, and it was also going to make it more real. I didn't want it to be real. So it was very quiet, and this was a long time ago before cell phones and kids actually talked. These kids were not talking. And Kyle's principal came in, and he knows how much we love him and appreciate everything he's done for us. And I always thought how hard it was for him to do that. And then to make our story even worse, he had to go to another house, because the boy that killed my nephew also was a student at Houston High School. A few days later, well no, the next day, we were picking out a casket. And a few days later, we had a funeral at Independent Presbyterian. A big old church filled with kids, and many of them crying. And I noticed my sister put something in the casket. And I said, "What did you do?" And she said, "I gave Kyle his favorite stuffed animal." And then everything was over. We were supposed to go back to work and be happy, and I was teaching school. Woo! The phone stops ringing, your friends stop calling, the cards stop coming, nobody wants to talk to you because you're sad, sadder than sad. And how do you go on when you have lost your only grandson, your only son, your only brother, your only nephew, your best friend? How do you go on? That boy that was very sleep impaired took everything from us. Kyle will never graduate high school. He will never graduate college. He will never marry and have a family. and he would have been really good at that. But we knew from the minute we heard what had happened to us that Kyle would never be mad at that boy. I did not feel the same. But Kyle was very loving and very generous, and we all knew that he would not want us to hate that boy. I did not hate that boy, I did hate what had happened to our family. So, Kyle had a little sister, Kelsey, she was 5. She was writing signs and putting them on the wall that said, "Everyone is crying." His older sister, Katie, was at University of Texas. Her dad flew out there to tell her what had happened, but because he was always playing jokes and pranks on the kids, or maybe because it was just too raw, she would not believe him. My sister and her husband got a divorce. My family was really drowning in this sorrow. We did not know what to do. So when I retired from teaching 7 years ago, we started spreading this message about drowsy driving. Did anybody here have any idea that there's 500,000 drowsy driving crashes every year? And the most important part for us tonight is that half of them are attributed to teen drivers. No one's talking about this. It's a very, very, very serious thing. I have the worst story in the world, but so do 499,000 other families across the United States. So when I retired from teaching, I started banging on every door. I can be totally annoying. There's people up there that know that. I'm going to talk to kids. I'm a teacher. That's all I know how to do. I'm going to tell you about sleep and the wonderful things about sleep, and I'm going to make those high school kids get their head off the desk and listen to me. I spoke at Collierville High School last week after I finally found the entrance after 2 different tries. Oh, it's fabulous. It is a fabulous place, but I couldn't find the front door. We are making a difference. Kyle's little sister is about to graduate college. I didn't tell you that she began having debilitating migraines after Kyle's death. She'd never had any before. She became homeschooled at one point. She's about to graduate college now. She's been the editor of the literary journal for the last 2 years, by the grace of God. His older sister, Katie, graduated college and is a very successful family law attorney in Atlanta, married to a judge. My mom, my sister, and I are very happy with the work that we are doing across the state of Tennessee. And last week we received an honor from the Tennessee Lifesavers Conference. We got the Making a Difference Award for Tennessee from the Department of Safety and Homeland Security and the Highway Safety Patrol. It was totally unexpected and extremely humbling. People are noticing our work. We know what we're talking about. Collierville, listen to me, please. Y'all are the leader in everything, everything. Everybody looks to Collierville. Everyone in the state of Tennessee and across the United States is watching what's going to happen here. I can guarantee it. A few months ago, I was talking to some doctors in Nashville, and they were talking about the young man at Collierville High School that started a petition for a later start time. I was floored and honored because he volunteers with our foundation. He didn't at that point, though. Just like the doctor said, not enough sleep is the major cause for suicide, depression, obesity, heart disease, on and on and on. If you give your kids this gift of our kids this gift of a later start time, it is a gift of lifelong health. Just like the doctor was saying, all these problems that adults have, they started when they were young kids. They show up when you're an adult. It's the greatest thing we can do for our kids. We love our kids. We talk about how great they are and how much we try to keep them safe. They have to practice after school and it's hot as blazes and bring 2 gallons of water, but we get them up at dark 30. Please rethink this. Please open your mind to this possibility. Once we open our minds to a little bit of change, we can get the money. We can get the buses. We can calm the parents down. Change is hard. Even the littlest change is hard. But this is a little change that will make a huge impact in the lives of these kids. Thank you very much.